It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This round is MotoAmerica Superbikes at Road America from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, from the famed Road America, as we set the stage for Junior Cup race number 2 under perfect conditions. And this field is ready to get going. I'm Greg White in the booth with Jason Pridmore. Hannah Lope will be joining us later. But Jason, this guy right here, Avery Dreyer, has dominated this season so far.
He really has. He did it a completely different way yesterday. We had as many as 12 riders in this lead group. As you can see, all of our main contenders were up front, including Dreyer, and the only other guy that's won a race this year, Levi Batty. Now, Greg, guys were going from 1st to 7th, back to 6th, up to 1st, but when it all came down to it, on the run to the line, the 99 played the game the best, Greg, and you can see he's going to pull out of that draft just in time to get by those other 4 riders. Avery Dreyer wins again.
A photo finish again in Junior Cup, and it constantly entertains. What about this guy, the 34, Rossi Moore, the lone KTM rider in the field? He's looking for his first Junior Cup win. Can he get it done?
Well, that is indeed the question of the day. He has been unquestionably quick, starting on pole after a great qualifying run, out-qualifying Avery Dreyer and Hayden McNeese, Levi Batty, Alessandro Di Mario, Yandel Medina. That was one of the stories to me yesterday. Was Yandel qualified 6th, ended up 23rd, had a big problem. And Isaac Woodworth started 21st and went all the way up to 10th. So we did see some riders back in the pack finding some pace.
Yeah, and the top 12 guys all finished within 2 seconds. So, I mean, any of those 2 seconds at this lap, at this track, but the draft could bring you right back in. Early in the race yesterday, we seen some, what was it, a 13-rider pack one time till toward the end. It kind of, fizzled out a little bit. But if you go down and you look, all those guys, within 1 second, Jaden Fernandez in 6th. So today, I think a lot of those other kids that maybe faded back toward the end are guys who are new to the class.
Right.
And I think yesterday they get to go to school, learn about the draft, and when the pace is going to pick up toward the end, and I think they're going to know where they can make their spots. And that's the big thing. Even in the race yesterday, for a lot of these guys, they kind of showed what their strategy is going to be today.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And, the other guy that I think put in an absolutely clutch ride here, guy that's right up there in the points, Max Van on that number 48, and qualified 10th, way back in the pack. Ended up making it up into 4th, and at one point he actually had crossed the line even higher up than that, but because of transponder location, they had to go with the picture, and they realized he was in 4th, and I should say that transponder showed him higher up than that. But he's in this points battle. He needed to find something, and he did.
Yeah, and I kind of expected him to be there. Even though he started 10th, just because this track with the draft and how much experience Max has and how fast he is. He won a lot of races last year, and so he definitely knows how to play the cards, and didn't qualify where he wanted, but I knew he'd be there by turn 5, and I'm sure qualifying 10th probably gave him a little extra motivation going into that race. I'm sure he was wanting to prove that he was better than that.
Yeah, and I mean, he needed to do it. He did it, and it kept him up there in that point scenario right now. Yandel Medina, we've seen a really good turn of speed and form from him. Qualified a solid 6th, thought he was going to be in that group, and dropped way back. He's got to up his game today, doesn't he?
He does, and I think just whatever happened yesterday, hopefully they get that cleared up for today.
Right.
Being that far back, he missed those lap of where he needs to be to maybe get that win, so he didn't get that experience toward the last lap. But he's been fast this year, and I think we've seen how strong he has been on the brakes this year, and I think this is one of those tracks where he could be really fast down into turn 5 and Canada corner.
Yeah, and I think too, with this group at this track, the way this track is racing here, it's a huge field. If you're in that top 10, you've got opportunity because the draft is so insane, as you pointed out. You just have to play your cards right. I mean, Dreyer came from 5th to win it yesterday. You just got to stay in that lead group and then try and come up with some sort of plan and hope it works.
And even yesterday, we kept thinking maybe 3 or 4 riders broke away, and then we would go down on the straightaway, and then they would all be back in one group. This draft will suck you back in. You just got to stay pretty close and not really. Don't go back and forth too much. If you're battling with somebody and y'all lose that touch, stay together and try to work together and get back into that lead draft.
The other guy I think that is really learning that here is this guy, the number 70 of Alessandro Di Mario. Opening events of the season has shown remarkable speed, but this is a whole different ball game here. Like Road Atlanta had 1 long straight. This has 3, right? And so he's learning, but he is at the base really quick.
Oh, really quick, and the year's been solid for him. He's had some bad luck. Come out of Atlanta, was really quick, and today I think he can use what he learned yesterday. Young
15-year-old, really, really impressive, and we're going to find out how this all plays out because it's time for Junior Cup Race 2 at Road America.
MotoAmerica Junior Cup coverage is brought to you by Geico Motorcycle. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Getting ready for a race start. Junior Cup race number 2 here at Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. I warned you, it's a perfect day to go racing, and tens of thousands of people have shown up. And Jason, here is your record lap time by Rossi Moore, 238.613.
And then we have Dreyer and Bickney's next to him, Batty, DeMario, and Medina. We'll see if Yandel can get up there. He was up there yesterday. Fernandez, Clark, Rivera, Mike Van, Chase Black, Logan Monk. See the riders coming up that big steep hill. Cunnison, Elliott, Sneed, Lewis, Roth, and Jasmine Nichols. Vandal, Keese, Woodworth, Solly Mervis, Carson King, and Jonathan James. A little further back, Barber, Gendron, Hardovich, and Rothenberger round out your field, Greg. And I mean, really, any one of the top, I would say 15 kids here can win this race. I mean, if you're going to get a big, huge group of people drafting and redrafting.
And when Jason means kids, the minimum age here for Junior Cup in MotoAmerica is 14. The max age is 25 years old. So this class designed to showcase young talent. Majority of the field on the Kawasaki Ninja 400R, but not our pole sitter. He's on that KTM RC390. As revs are up, as we're getting ready to go racing. And race 2 is underway of Junior Cup here at Road America. And a rider all the way in the back of the field having some issues. Rothenberger, the 46. But all eyes up front. Who's going to lead us into turn 1? It's a long way on these small displacement motorcycles. And here we go. It's going to be the 69 of Hayden Bickneys, who will get it done.
We saw Hayden up front yesterday also. And I think the big thing you got to remember here is don't want to make any big mistakes. You see Medina just got pushed out wide, gets himself back in line nicely. He's not going to lose too much. He'll be able to get back in this draft. You'll see the 39 start drafting his way back up to the front. But you can't make a mistake early, Greg. That's the biggest thing. You don't want to run wide down here in turn 5 or do anything like that to where it ruins your race. So right now they'll be going back down this back straightaway, and if you get sucked along in the draft, you can be 5-6 mile an hour quicker. So you got to be careful in this spot. Rossi Moore takes to the front with Batty right behind him. Max Van sots himself in there, and I think as Medina already has got himself up there into 4th, so a lot of good drafting from him there.
Really sketchy down into turn number 5 in the first lap, but what a young field of riders and what they were able to do. But look at your pole sitter Moore on that Varian NGRT Gray Area Racing RC390. He's trying to pull the pin, but there's so many straightaways here that even with this early gap, it's going to be hard to get away.
Yeah, but he's doing it right now, Greg. I mean, this gap is starting to widen up. If he finds another 5-6 bike lengths, these guys might find it hard to catch him. This is what you have to do in this class, and he is pulling the pin big time. He's already stretched it out to well over a second probably, or at least right around that as they get down here into the chicane. And he's done everything so far really well on this opening lap.
Through the chicane we go.
Batty's extremely strong there, isn't he? I mean, I noticed that yesterday in the chicane.
Yeah, Levi Batty, he's on the 71. The Belgian rider on the Batty Racing Ninja 400. Leading the way, that's Max Van, who's going to make a move for second place. So it looks like the 48 on the sportbiketrackgear.com entry will take over the spot. But it's really about what's going to happen on this straightaway. That's going to be coming up soon. Let's welcome in the third member of our team, Hannah Loper, to the broadcast. Hannah, how's it going? And what do you have on Max Van?
Speaking of that speed at the end of the straightaway, Max Van said that's especially where his bike feels the strongest, and he needs to take full advantage of that today. Yesterday throughout the race, he felt like he played his cards right up until the very end, and now that he's seen how things are going to play out, he knows how to better position himself on those final laps.
Yeah, and that's really what this experience is about, especially with these bikes in this long straightaway. It's a long straightaway in a super bike, let alone a motorcycle that's going, you know, a top speed, Jason, of 118 miles an hour.
Yeah, well, these guys are all gotten back in line here. Max Van did such a nice job. He passed Batty going down into Canada corner and ran those next 3 corners as perfect as you can to draw himself ever so closer to the back of Rossi Moore, and he was able to drag the rest of the crew along with him here. So you see we have got a big group of people at the front, slowly but surely. Rossi right now is probably thinking, oh my gosh, have I broke him? And right now Max Van's going to show him that nope, we're still all here. And that's disheartening because Rossi did everything he possibly could do to get away from them and pull the gap, and they were still able to draw back in on him.
Look at how deep he gets into turn 5, your race leader, and how he's able to sweep up to turn 6.
And yesterday I was sitting on the inside of the next corner that they're going through turn 7, and he doesn't even let off for this. Most of the kids here in the front do not let off for turn 7. This is wide open, 4th gear on these little bikes. They shift up to 5th, and they're going to go back down to 3rd. Some of them just click at 1 back, as you saw Rossi do there, and try to carry a lot of speed, opening up the radius of the turn on the entry and using all the track on the exit.
You saw there in the left part of your screen, it looks like our officials are getting ready to issue a jump start penalty for the 31. So it looks like the bike, number 31, is going to be Kesey with a jump start. But up front, we continue to focus, and all that work that Rossi Moore was able to do, it's kind of eaten up, but
he's done it again. I mean, he really has done it again. Batty is just really good in the chicane and closes that gap up. Now he'll start to get drawn in by Max Van, who we know is going to be really good through this next section, and Batty's obviously going to be really good through this section as well. So if you look on the left side of your screen here, you're going to see Batty goes down the inside, makes a very committed pass early on Max Van as they went down into turn 8. And now all of them have been able to go. And it's going to be interesting to see what the lap time is this first time through.
Into the final corner we go. KTM leading from a host of Kawasaki's. A lot closer to Rossi Moore is the field. It's a long drag race up the hill and to the start-finish line. As Jason takes a look at the first lap time, full lap time in motion. And it looks like Max Van's going to pull out wide.
Yeah, so we're looking at Chase Black in 11th place, does the fastest lap, 2:39.2. And we got Max Van taken to the front now. Batty follows him through, and then Dreyer follows them through as well. So Rossi did everything he could. He did everything he could. He looks back to see, did I spread the field out at all? And when he goes back and looks at this race, he's going to be proud of himself for that first lap. That's going to be a lap that would be good at just about any other track but this one, Greg, where the draft is so key. He does that at a place, you know, that like New Jersey or somewhere else, these places that are a little bit tighter. That was a great first lap. But now, Bickney's has thrown himself into this mix, and then we have a whole host of others as Dreyer and Rossi Moore, Batty's, all 3 wide going down into turn 5.
Rossi Moore proving once again how dialed in he is down at the bottom of that hill after the long straightaway out of turn 3 through the kink turn 4 and into 5. Chase Black, like Jason mentioned, did a 2:39.232. That's only about a 1/10 of a second off of Rocco Lander's time in race number 2 that he set in 2022, Hannah.
And talking to Rossi Moore, he's looking to improve upon yesterday's race finish. He really wants that win. They finally got tire pressure and gearing figured out. These Dunlops are still a bit new to him compared to the Moto3 Dunlops that he's used to, but setup and suspension are quite dialed. He's the kind of rider that needs to feel the grip in order to go fast, so needless to say, this new surface is really working well for him.
I think this new surface is working well for a lot of people, Jason.
I agree.
It's such a treat and a delight to come to a racetrack like this after a month's paving, 5 years in the planning here at Road America, and to have all the hard work and all the preparation that was put into it pay off.
Yeah, and everybody here at Road America should be holding their head up pretty high as far as the management goes, because you know, it's very rare that we go to a track where people say, man, it's as perfect as it can be. And look what it does. It just leads to better racing as well. Batty's going to go to the front here as they go into Canada corner. Dreyer still third. Bickney's fourth. So, yeah, Max Van's still there, right there in fifth. Little breakaway now for these top five. So these top five, they start getting organized and can draft and redraft and not get in each other's way. This is the kind of a tell of a race. And the group behind, you know, they have to not make mistakes in order to get back up into that top five group. So we'll see how that shakes down at the end of the straightaway.
Here comes Rossi Moore out of the draft to the start-finish line to complete another lap. It'll be 4 to go after he goes by. And it looks like Avery Dreyer leads us across the stripe. And that second group behind him, Jay, didn't quite catch up, but another lead change by Rossi Moore. So with 4 laps to go, it's Rossi Moore who leads the way again here at Road America. Fastest lap of the race goes to Hayden Bickney's. He lowers the time to a 2:39.228. Still about a tenth of a second off of Rocco Lander's outright lap record in race 2 in 2022. Of course, a race lap record. The outright lap record is Rossi Moore's at a 2:38.613. So incredibly fast, and of course, utilizing that draft. And Jay, that second group getting closer and closer. It looks like Rivera, the 83, is leading that train.
Yeah, he's trying to pull them back up. I think Yando Medina is in that group also, as you see him back there, and all these guys are now trying to get going. And Rossi just keeps on pounding this infield out in the sense that he is trying to get away. And Dreyer now takes to the head of second place. Batty's in third. Now this will be interesting here because we've seen Rossi do really well through here, and so far this weekend Batty's been the only guy that I really felt is super fast through the chicane to roll with Rossi Moore. That's what he's kind of shown us here so far. So let's see if he tries to go up underneath Dreyer here as they head into the chicane. He's looking for that position, can't quite get there. So now, Greg, look at this gap we have again. Rossi's got to get back in that tuck. He looks like one of the taller kids as well, but he does a really nice job at getting out of corners, getting back into his tuck as quickly as he can.
So important in these smaller displacement motorcycles. Of course, if you're familiar with the Medallia Superbike class, those big displacement bikes, just about 600 cc's more than what you have here, over double the displacement. They go in the neighborhood of 195 miles an hour. The top speed we've seen so far is from Chase Black, who's in 10th position last time by the stripe, 120 miles an hour in a draft.
Yeah, and it's and these guys are just wide open for so long in a lap, and you can see Batty trying to go up underneath. Just gets the bike a little bit sideways. Couldn't quite get a nose in there to do anything, but now look, see this gap? It's probably, again, it's about as big as we have seen. So we saw on the first lap he had a half a second. These guys are going to draft and redraft and to try to get themselves back up to the front. I'll have you look at the mile per hour number between the leader and the guys behind. He had a 0.7 of a second lead that time when they came across the line, and that is not quite enough, Greg, because these guys are going to draw back up to him as they get into turn 1.
So to give you an idea, 109.7 miles an hour was the top speed for Rossi Moore. In 9th place was Alessandro Di Mario, 120.5.
Yeah.
In and amongst all those riders, that's the number 70 bike that's in the middle of that pack.
And the way the air gets moved around a rider, especially in the tuck, he's in the tuck and he's creating a big bubble almost behind him. And as a rider behind, you start to feel yourself get drawn into the back of him, and you see the RPMs on your bike getting spiked up, and you hope that you have the gearing in orbit to get down these straightaways. So you can see now they're all the way back up on the back of him, but it has taken them this whole lap to catch back up to Rossi Moore. So again, if he can try to pound out another solid infield as he gets way wide this time, just carried it out too far out of turn 5 and pushes him back to 3rd now.
That's our 8th lead change of the race. And if you saw 2 straightaways ago, our current leader, the 99 Avery Dreyer on that Bad Boys Racing Ninja, you saw his arm come off the bar and something fly off. That was a tear off. So it's something we have on the helmets, on the visor of the helmets. It's a little thin film that if you get a bug splat on there or something, you can tear that off. But here's another look at down into turn 5 and Rossi Moore's mistake.
Well, ultimately what he's trying to do is he's trying to release this lever to help carry more speed through the middle of the corner. We've seen him do this through turn 8, but this one here, he just gets out there a little bit too wide. Now he's really compromised. He knows he's got a group of people behind him, gets himself back on the track nicely and slots himself into 3rd. He's since then pulled out and got past Hayden Bickney's now. So
Rossi Moore right on the back of the 99. Now we'll see what kind of RC 390 legs compared to the Ninja 400 the KTM has. Boy, they look pretty evenly matched in the draft. And we know yesterday, obviously it was a photo finish for 2nd place for Rossi Moore when Dreyer pulled out of the draft on the right side and won that race. But Jay, we're looking at about 11 riders from Rossi Moore, Dreyer, Bickneys, Rivera, Vanderbroek, Batty, Chase Black, Medina, DeMario, Fernandez, and Clark, all within 2.5 seconds of each other.
We're just starting to lose someone off the back of this group, so we'll figure out who that is when they come through. But yeah, it's a big group right now of top 10, 11 riders, Greg, as you said, getting ready to come up. And this is now 2 laps to go. This is when you're starting to really make your plan as a rider of where do I want to be coming out of that last corner? Who can I draft? Who can I get by? Can I do it before the line? And that's what Dreyer performed so perfectly at yesterday. He never really was a big factor, but he was at the end. He put himself in that smart position, and you can see he looks back over his shoulder to see how many more people are behind him. Does the 99. He's in 6th place right now, and we heard him through our through our headsets yesterday say that he was in last place of that group going into yesterday's last lap, and he was able to get himself all the way to the front.
Just incredible race story from the rider who's won 4 of 5 Junior Cup races in 2023. More lead changes as they go 4 or 5 wide down into turn number 5. It's a lap and a half or so to go, and it's going to be the 69 who takes the lead for the moment, but goes wide, and just like that, Rossi Moore takes advantage.
I was just going to say, I like what Hayden was doing there. He's being a bit defensive. He wanted to try to lead them through turn 5 and through this infield for a lap on his own to see what he could do. But he got in there just a little bit tight, let go of the lever a little early, pushed him out wide, and allowed everybody else to kind of come back through. And again, Rossi Moore, Batty, and Max Van, the 3 guys that we saw in the first lap of this race, doing it. Now Batty runs wide and gets way out wide, and that could be, again, a big opportunity for Rossi Moore to break these guys.
Wow, what? This is interesting, Jay, because this is not something we've seen from Junior Cup this season. The amount of mistakes that we're seeing up front, but it definitely happens. Again, a young field of riders trying to figure out racecraft. Look at the 71 going up the inside. Wow, what a nice move by Levy Batty to get back in the mix, but it's that gap out front because, Jay, we only have a lap and a quarter to go, and right now Rossi Moore has got the hammer down.
Man, and DeMario is the guy that's going to try to pull him forward. Let's not forget the 70, I believe, was our pole sitter at Atlanta, Greg, and now he's trying to draw them closer to Moore. Moore has done a good job, and that little tiny mistake by Levy Batty in turn 8 has created this bigger gap. So if you're in the back of this group now, you don't want to do too much other than try to draft your way forward. Take advantage of the draft that you're going to get on the front straightaway. These guys can't really mess with each other coming into this last corner because right now, Moore has definitely broke this draft. And turn 5 is going to be a key. Will he have a gap by the time they get all the way back down to turn 5? He's going to see the white flag this time by.
To the stripe we go. The white flag will fly, indicating our last lap. And now we get a good look at the gap. 0.7 of a second. We've actually seen that before, and we've seen the field close it down, but it's late in the race. Who's got the tires? Everybody looking for position behind Rossi Moore. And it looks like Levy Batty's going to be there. 99 of Avery Dreyer starting to march up through the field. We have a rider down.
7/10 of a second again was the lead when they came across the line. He's actually done pretty well through turn 3. I think, though, that if these guys, again, organize themselves, they'll be back on him by the time they get to 5, but I don't know if they'll be able to get past him by then. So Rossi Moore doing everything he can right now, and you can see this swarm is coming his way. He's defending it well on the inside going down, and we know he's good on the brakes when he gets down here. Who's going to be the second rider? It's going to be Dreyer that they're going to rely on to try to not let Moore get too far away.
Boy, that turn 5 trap didn't catch anyone out. Rossi Moore nice and clean through that section. But it's the 99, Avery Dreyer. He's looking for it. He doesn't want to give it up. He's only lost 1 race so far this season.
Man, he's got a very, I mean, you look at what Dreyer's done so far this year. Racing IQ-wise, he's always finding himself in the right spot, putting himself in the place he needs to be. He could see what was going on here, and now it's up to him to try to just continue to keep pushing, get up behind Moore. I think it's going to obviously be settled now between 5 riders, Greg. Those first 5 that you see, there's a little bit of a gap now back to 6th.
Into the chicane we go. The last hardest braking spot we have here at Road America on this final lap.
He was on the edge. Dreyer goes out over the rumble strips, and I think that is not going to help his drive there. I won't be surprised to see Max Van maybe go past Dreyer as they get down towards Canada Corner. He's in the draft. Rossi Moore right now, Greg.
Looking good.
Well, he is and he isn't. He could be a sitting duck. It just depends. Now, I think they're still going to be able to sniff it, although Dreyer defends that position, so we'll see what kind of drive out he gets. Now Rossi Moore, he doesn't know he's got a gap. That's the worst part. He's just literally riding on instinct right now and doing his best to get tucked in. He's already committed, Greg. He's trying to lead this out of the last turn and on the run to the line. I like Max Van's position at the moment.
All right, so Rossi Moore coming onto the front straightaway. He gets behind the bubble. He goes way right on the racetrack, nearly pit in. He's trying to hold on to it. Up the hill he comes. You can see the heat on the racetrack. Is it going to be enough? Here comes Max Van. He's in second place, but the checkered flag flies for Rossi Moore, who takes the win from the front. New track record set by Avery Dreyer in a race, a 138.493. But that's going to net Avery Dreyer 3rd place in the race as the rest of this field comes streaming through.
Here we go. We got the 17 coming across right now. Gabriella Lewis, she ends up 11th. Aiden Sneed, Logan Monk there as well.
So Aiden Sneed, the lone Yamaha, in 12th place. Logan Monk 13th. Woodworth in 14th. Cunnison in 15th. And Gabrielle Lewis in 11th. All right, we'll have more Junior Cup Road America in a moment.
Well, Rossi Moore, I think there, Roger, showing that even though it's a track with massively long straights and the draft is everything, if you can fly through the twisty bits, you can maybe do something here.
Yeah, I mean, the whole race he was trying that plan to break the draft, feeling like he was better through the the infield part of the track without the straightaways. And a couple other times we thought he did maybe break the draft, but with that the run to the finish line, I think being a little further, if it was down into turn 1 more, they might have been able to drafted him back. But for him, that's a great ride. That is really hard to do on a Junior Cup bike. There is be able to break the draft like he did.
Yeah.
And let that plan come together.
Man, he is so pumped, and it's understandable. And, for him, if he could lead down into 5, and he was really good on the brakes down into 5. He overshot that one time, but he was so good into 5. And if he could lead from there, he'd just open it up all the way through. And you could see Avery Dreyer at that one point said, yeah, this 5th to the win's not going to play today. I got to get after him right now.
Yeah, out of turn 5 on the last lap, we were, I was like, dang, Avery's already put himself right in the spot to win another one. And then, he was just able, Rossi Moore was just able to just go through that carousel so fast and open a gap. And even Max Van, you could tell going down into Canada Corner on that last lap, he could have passed Avery Dreyer. You see that experience. He stayed right behind him all the way through there to see if they couldn't close that gap to get in the draft.
Yeah, but Rossi is just too good through those twisty bits on that part of the track, and it just ran a great line through 14. Just flowed huge speed. Picked up the throttle. It was just a great ride by Rossi Moore. That bike is thin. We were talking about he seems like a pretty thick-shouldered guy, trying to get into the tuck, but man, he made it work.
He made it work, and I think also his plan after being in yesterday's race and even watching this race, whenever he would draft somebody, he was never bound before the stripe. For whatever reason, gearing, maybe, bike or, not being very aero. But whatever the reason was, he just couldn't get by the guys before the stripe, and he knew what his only shot was to break them, and he kept trying, and I give him credit to, because he would do it and they'd catch him. He would do it and they'd catch him back, but he just stuck to it, and it happened when it mattered the most.
Yeah, and the funny thing to me is that Avery Dreyer certainly had pace. Did he wait just a little bit too long? Because you look at that lap he threw down at 2:38.49. He had speed because when he decided to go, he quickly went right after him and brought Max Van with him, indeed. But maybe he waited a lap too long to try and get after it.
Well, I think with that draft, when there were so many of them, it's hard to put yourself in that spot.
Yeah.
We watched this race, and when they're going down into turn 5, and when they fan out, where are you going to go? They're across the whole track if you're behind that group. But again, he showed his experience and put himself in that best spot that he thought he could win it.
Well, you turned and looked at me we were just watching, and you said, we have a 10-bike breakaway. How often do you hear that? I mean, it was just extraordinary.
It really was, and all those riders in the top 10 were all riding really well. The drafting and just not weaving and stuff. You can tell they're getting a little bit better at that. Rossi Moore, he's got to be excited. Come here. He's been trying to win all year, and he finally gets it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so nice to see it. And, it's nice, too, to have that lone brand come through and mix things up just a little bit. That just keeps it more exciting as well. So very cool. And they go through the weighing process. But
this is how they keep it even. They do a weight rider bike.
Oh! You all right? Hey, buddy. Well, he was obviously really excited to get in and say hi to his crew. We saw him down when he parked with the guys down in 5, and he was just so elated. This is a heck of a run for this guy for sure. Look at that. Huge congratulations from everybody down there. And I mean, you couldn't argue with that ride at all. He did it. And he did it the only way he was probably going to be able to pull that win off, and he executed it.
He executed it, and like I said, it's hard to do when he was just kept doing it, and then luckily for him, he stuck with it, because every time he would break them, they bring them back, and you would think, well, maybe I'll stop, and then maybe I'll do a different plan, but he just stuck to trying to break that draft, and just really, it has to give him confidence too, going to other tracks that don't have long straightaways.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course, the next one on a circuit is the Ridge, which could play into that KTM and that young man's hands beautifully. Let's get back to G-Dub and Jason.
MotoAmerica Junior Cup coverage is brought to you by Geico Motorcycle. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
So Jason Pridmore, 0.3 of a second, the margin of victory here at Road America with this class. Can we call that a checkout?
Yeah. Well, he was trying to every lap, wasn't he? Rossi did an amazing job.
Let's get right down to Hannah in victory circle.
Gotta keep it short. Rossi Moore following up his first podium with his first victory in the class. Rossi, how was your race?
Oh man, it was an amazing race. From yesterday, I had a lot of confidence since this year I haven't had the best luck. And I tried to pull away a few times, and I saw my team showing that I had a big gap, so I just tried to stick with them to the last lap. And as soon as I went through the line, I started tearing up from joy, and I just want to thank everybody that helped so far, Fire Newman, GRT, Gray Area, Dyna's at AGV, and to everybody else who's helped this weekend. Thank you.
Rossi Moore, one to watch, guys.
Yeah, absolutely one to watch, Hannah. He did an amazing job today. He kept his head down, and he had a plan. As you look at the standings now, Greg, Avery Dreyer, of course, keeps putting himself in that right spot, gets himself on the podium, as does Max Van, 26 points behind Dreyer now, with Hayden Bickness there in third.
This championship is far from over. as we have plenty of racing left in this season. So Junior Cup race number 2 did not disappoint. There were 9 riders all close to winning this race. Well, we get to do it again in Washington, June 23rd through the 25th. We hope to see you there.